All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to talk about something called the counterload. It's this fascinating idea pulled from an ancient story that explains why our cleverest shortcuts, well, they might just be making our lives a whole lot heavier. Sounds like a paradox, right? Let's unpack it.
So let me ask you something. Are your life hacks and all those little shortcuts you found, are they actually making your life heavier? I mean, we're all looking for that easy win, that clever trick. Our brains are literally designed to find the quickest path. But what if that path is actually a trap? What if it's setting you up for a much bigger problem down the line?
Well, believe it or not, the answer to this super modern problem comes from a really, really old story. An ancient fable from Aesop, actually. You might have even heard it before, but I bet you haven't thought about it quite like this. Together, we're going to see how it perfectly explains this hidden dynamic that shows up all over our lives.
Okay, so let's get into the story itself. It's a simple tale, but trust me, it's packed with wisdom.
So picture this. You've got a merchant and his trusty donkey, or ass. They're on their usual route, heading home from the coast, carrying a big, heavy load of salt. It's tough work, but, it's manageable. Then, as they're crossing a river, the ass slips. It's a total accident. He falls right into the water. And when he gets back up, whoa, a huge chunk of the salt has dissolved. Suddenly, his load is wonderfully light. The rest of the trip home is an absolute breeze. This wasn't skill, it was just pure, dumb luck. But this is where the story really turns. The ass has a light bulb moment. He thinks, wait a minute, I just found the ultimate life hack. He mistakes this one-time lucky break for a repeatable strategy. So the very next day, with a fresh load of salt, he gets to the exact same river and, whoops, he slips and falls in, totally on purpose this time, expecting that same sweet relief. But here's the thing. The ass forgot one crucial detail. He wasn't alone. The merchant was watching. And this is where we get to the heart of the matter, what we're calling the merchant's counterload. The merchant is no fool. He sees exactly what's going on. He's angry, sure, but he doesn't just yell or punish him on the spot. Nope, he does something way, way smarter. He turns around, marches the ass right back to the shore, and instead of salt, he loads him up with 2 huge baskets of sponges. Okay, so you can see where this is going, right? The ass, thinking he's the cleverest creature alive, pulls the same move. He gets to the river and takes his deliberate dive. But this time, oh man, the sponges soak up the water and his load doesn't get lighter. It becomes a crushing, waterlogged nightmare, like 10 times heavier than it was before. The exact same trick that made his life easy yesterday has now made it unbearable today. And that right there is the counterload in action. It's not just a simple punishment. It's a strategic response from someone who's watching that completely changes the rules of the game. It takes your sneaky shortcut and turns it against you, making it totally useless or, in this case, way, way worse.
So obviously, this isn't just a fun story about a donkey. It's a huge metaphor for things that happen to us in our real lives all the time. So let's talk about that. Let's find the sponges in your own life.
And this is the big question you've got to ask yourself, honestly. Where in your life are you falling on purpose? Where are you using some little trick to get out of a heavy responsibility, hoping no one will notice? Think about it for a second. We probably all do it somewhere. You see this salt versus sponge dynamic everywhere once you start looking. At work, right? Maybe you find some system glitch that makes you look busy when you're not. That's the salt trick. The sponge is when your boss catches on, and suddenly you have a new, super heavy, micromanaged reporting system you have to deal with every single day. Or at home, you play sick to get out of a tough family chore. The counterload? Now you get assigned even more intensive, supervised jobs because people don't quite trust you. Even in relationships, if you accidentally forget to do your part of a shared task, the result is often a much stricter, less trusting division of labor. The pattern is always the same. Your shortcut ends up creating a much heavier load in the long run.
This story goes even deeper than just strategy and consequences. It's really about something else. It's about the weight of character.
Think about this. That first fall, when the salt dissolved, that was just a lesson in luck. Anyone can get lucky. But the second fall, the one on purpose, that was a lesson in character. It's not the lucky break that defines you, it's what you do with it next that shows who you really are.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe cleverness without integrity isn't really clever at all. Maybe it's just a faster way to fail. The ass thought he was a genius, but his cleverness only led to a heavier burden. It wasn't productive, it was just deceptive.
And here's another thing to chew on. Maybe the merchant didn't just want to punish the ass. Maybe he wanted the ass to truly feel the weight of his own choices. Sometimes the counterload isn't about revenge. It's about teaching a lesson that can't be taught with words. It's about letting someone experience the natural, heavier consequence of their own actions.
Okay, so what are the big pitfalls we need to watch out for here? First, and this is a big one, don't ever mistake a lucky break for a permanent strategy. Second, never forget that the merchant, your boss, your partner, your client, they're probably watching and noticing patterns. Third, don't assume every problem is salt that will just dissolve if you avoid it. Some problems are sponges, and they just get heavier. And finally, don't let a little bit of greed for an easier life trick you into turning a perfectly manageable burden into an absolute monster.
So where does that leave us? The point here isn't to just buckle down and suffer. It's about changing how we think about the work itself. It's about choosing to carry your salt with pride.
So here are a few little growth mantras we can take away from this whole story. Simple things to tell yourself. I am honest in my efforts and my struggles. I do not seek shortcuts that compromise my integrity. I am stronger than the weight I carry. And maybe my favorite, I will not turn my salt into sponges. That's a powerful commitment, right? A promise to yourself not to make your own life harder through your own trick.
Because at the end of the day, the weight of a task is almost always less painful than the weight of a lie. Carrying that salt every day might be hard work, but it's nothing compared to the crushing weight of those waterlogged sponges. Honesty, it turns out, really is the lighter load. There's a great line that sums this all up. The road home is always shorter for the honest traveler. The ass thought he found a shortcut, but he ended up making his journey longer and way harder. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. In your life, right now, are you carrying salt or are you carrying sponges? Because that choice, well, it's always up to you. Thanks for digging into this with me.